Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're going to dive into a really deep philosophy that, believe it or not, starts with a problem we can all understand: not getting paid for your work. But you'll see how this one personal issue spirals into a massive spiritual mission for an entire country. So it all kicks off with this. It's a really heartfelt question from a business owner who's at her wit's end. She's done the work, but the money just isn't coming. And what's so telling is how she blames herself, right? She thinks the problem must be with her own education, something she fundamentally misunderstood about how the world works. But the speaker, Gong, immediately flips the whole thing on its head. He says, hold on, this isn't just about you. He sees it as a single crack on the surface that points to a much, much bigger problem deep in the foundations of society. And this is where you see that huge shift in perspective. Gong's argument is that her unpaid invoice is basically a symptom that the entire system has seized up. It's like a massive traffic jam where nothing can move, not money, not progress, not energy. The problem isn't one person's contract, it's that all of society is blocked.
Okay, so to get to his solution, we first need to understand his framework. He lays out this three-stage evolution for a business person, a journey that he believes modern leaders have totally failed to complete.
And here it is laid out pretty clearly. You start as a merchant, just focused on making a living. Then you evolve into the entrepreneur, where the single-minded goal is growth, expansion at any cost. But that's not the end. The final and most important stage is the social entrepreneur, where your entire purpose shifts to serving the society that allowed you to grow in the first place.
And this quote, wow, it really shows you just how intense that second stage is supposed to be. Gong is saying that this ruthless, growth-obsessed phase was a necessary evil. It was a time for building strength, a time where being sympathetic would actually cause you to fail. It sounds cold, I know, but he saw it as an essential step for what was meant to come next.
And here is the absolute core of his critique. He argues that for the last 2 decades, business leaders have been using the title social entrepreneur, but they've never actually graduated to that third and final stage. They've got the name, but they haven't taken on the responsibility. And that, he says, is why everything is grinding to a halt. All right, and this is where things get really interesting, because his entire argument hinges on completely redefining what social business even means. He's convinced we have it all wrong. Okay, so check this out. It all boils down to this huge difference. On one side, you have the way we usually think about it, sympathy. Giving money, donations, charity. But Gong says this is actually harmful, that it creates a beggar mentality and holds society back. On the other side is his vision, real social business. And it has nothing to do with giving stuff. It's about providing wisdom, education, guidance, new ways of thinking that actually teach people how to thrive on their own.
This quote just nails it, right? In his view, the best form of social good isn't a check in the mail. It's knowledge. It's about empowering people from the inside out so they can stand on their own 2 feet, instead of building a society that just depends on handouts.
So, what's the end game here? It's not just about running businesses better. It's about rewiring our entire society. The whole point of becoming a true social entrepreneur is to help build a completely new kind of world based on one single, powerful idea. And that one principle, it's mutual respect, or jonjong in Korean. His logic is this: we've become a highly educated, knowledgeable society, but we've forgotten how to respect the knowledge and the role that each person has. And he believes that if we could just learn to truly respect each other, all those blockages, from the unpaid bills all the way up to the big societal crises, they would just dissolve. Now, this isn't just some nice philosophical idea. Gong frames this as an incredibly urgent, time-sensitive mission, and it comes with a pretty stark warning for anyone who doesn't get on board. So he lays out what he calls a divine timeline. According to him, in 2013, a kind of preparation began for a period of judgment, or divine punishment. Society was given a 12-year grace period to learn all these lessons and change its ways. But that window, he says, closes in 2025. And after that, a time of great hardship will begin for anyone who hasn't found the right path. So, with this potential crisis looming, he gets asked the big question: what is the single most important social business for the country to focus on right now? What's the one mission that could actually prevent this disaster? And his answer? It just brings everything together. It's not some complicated economic fix.
the most vital social business, the ultimate test to prove that society is ready for the next level, is to create a culture where not one single person feels that taking their own life is the only option. And this final thought really frames it as more than just a good idea, it's a spiritual assignment. He sees the country's high suicide rate as the ultimate symptom of a society that's failing its people. And he warns that if they don't solve this problem together, that same destruction will eventually come for everyone. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What's the real measure of a society's success? Is it the economy? Or is it the collective will of its people to live?